It's really important that we as African Americans understand something. I watched the video of Joy Reid crying, talking about her story. I grew up only in primarily racist Christian schools. And it was many years from K through pre-K through 12th grade. And I had a choice in that environment. I had a choice of constantly working, striving to be accepted, to be seen as equal, to be liked, or I had a choice to not care, to just be who I was and to not care. And I chose the latter. And the reason why is because I had kind of gone through that process of trying to wear my hair a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way, with the hopes that white people would accept me. And what always happened is it would start out, you're thinking everything's okay, and then they would do something to let you know you weren't really quite equal. That at the end of the day, they would not stand with you. And so after that happening one too many times, I decided it doesn't matter what I do, there's going to come a point in time where you're going to show that you really don't see me as equal. You're not really willing to stand with me. In the case of Joy Reid, everyone thought MSNBC, people, it's freedom of the press, we can share about the Black experience and all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, they are showing that they don't really value us enough, don't really think racism is important enough to stand. And so we really are better off that sometimes we have to work in these spaces where we know we're not quite equal, but it's always important to have the mindset that we really are better off that sometimes we have to work in these spaces where we know we're not quite equal, but it's always important to have the mindset that I'm here for however long this door is open, but I don't have any expectations that this will be an authentic relationship. So that when something happens, you're not so blindsided. Our confidence, our sense of acceptance and worth cannot be based on if America accepts us or treats us right. It cannot be based on if white people accept us and treat us as equal. We have to know first and foremost who we are in the Lord, that we were made in His image. He loves us and accepts us. And then we have to kind of navigate these spaces in a way where we know who we are regardless of what they do. And finally, we have to kind of always be in a place where we own ourselves. And what does that mean? I really think it's really important that we own our own businesses. Even if we work in the workforce and have white bosses and white supervisors and all that, we have to kind of have a sense of self outside of those spaces. That our lives do not necessarily depend on that. That is so important. I have come across so many people who think they are an ally, who think they're not racist, and I can just read that something's a little off, and I'm going to give you an example. I have known of people who have started organizations, schools, ministries, whatever, that reach out to diverse populations, especially Black communities. And on the surface, they seem to have so much love for that community they're serving. But I remember my mom, when I was really little, became a part of a ministry that did that. It went to mainly Black neighborhoods and sent missionaries to Africa. And this was a primarily white organization. But I remember my mom, when I was really little, became a part of a ministry that did that. It went to mainly Black neighborhoods and sent missionaries to Africa. And this was a primarily white organization. And she was the first Black director in this organization for the DC area. And she had to go to the regional conference. And she was thinking, these are our allies. They've started ministries in Black neighborhoods, and I can see them smiling with the Black children, and they're ministering in Africa. But when she was the only Black person at the regional conference, they would not speak to her. She had to sit alone during the whole conference and eat dinner in the lunchroom, in the dining hall. I remember her calling us and just telling us how lonely she was because no one would speak to her. But mind you, these were people serving in Black communities, but they did not see her as equal. You were only valued oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes, and by white people if they feel superior to you, if they feel like they can help you. But if you don't need their help, if you are equal to in stature and degrees and status quo, if you just want to be their friend, you don't see them as above you or superior to you, you're equal. They know you see them as equal. They will, a lot of times, they will not want to be your friend. They will not seek to have that reciprocal, authentic relationship. Those relationships only happen when they are in a position of power, superiority, or helping you. That's not a friendship. So I don't get excited when people serve only Black communities or things like that. That doesn't mean that you're not racist to me, because I have lived and worked with people and have been hurt by people who did that, who still treated me as if I was inferior to them. And my mom went to this conference, and even though these ministers went into Black areas, at this conference where she was the only Black one there, a leader, right, considered equal with them, she overheard them making fun of how Black people worship. I have seen people recently go into Black areas, whether it be in Africa or in American cities, and won't use culturally relevant music, art, culture to reach that community, but will bring in more Western influences. And when I ask, why are you doing that? They will say, well, that culture is sinful. So a lot of times what is ingrained in many, not all, I'm saying many, white mindsets, even in the subconscious, is that everything about brown people, their music, their art, their culture, their look, their hair, their lips, their eyes, their face, their nose, the way they worship, everything about them is inferior to them, that they are the holy ones. They are the right ones. And so I have been in situations not too long ago. In the work that I do, there are a lot of people who start schools, who often are white, serving Black communities, and they feel like they're really proud of themselves because they are reaching the Black community, and God is using it for His glory because Black people are getting saved. But they like doing that, but if they have to interact with me from an equal place, they feel really uncomfortable. You can tell they never quite have time to fellowship. And I will invite, hey, you should come to this workshop I'm leading. Hey, come visit my school. We're doing this. Hey, let's go to this thing together. Oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time. However, these people will go to a white-founded event that's doing the same thing that I'm doing. I have actually been in a session. Now, I founded a school 10 years ago. My parents founded a school 10 years before that I helped them found. So I have literally 20 years experience working with the state to set up a private school following all the red fine print. I have loads of experience in founding schools. And I remember having this session, a support group of people who are founding schools and opening schools, and somebody came and said, I'm here because I really want to know more about how to start a school. And I kid you not, this white woman who has founded a school in a Black area, primarily serving Black schools, she's always talking about culturally relevant teaching and materials and resources. She has Black friends and and she has pictures and she looks like she is an ally. But as I sat there, a school founder with 20 years experience, she sat there and referred her to another white woman who started a school in a Black neighborhood. And this same person, when I invite her to things, she's come to one and she came out, I'm so sorry, I'm so busy. However, she has time to go to all the conferences, all the workshops, all the gatherings led by white people. And I don't think she realizes that's what she's doing, but I think in the subconscious, she looks at me and she doesn't realize that because she's always in a position of power and helping Black people, when she meets a Black woman who really is equal to her, she just cannot see me as an equal. So my events, my gatherings, my invitations to connect physically are not important enough to her, but the white invitations are. Now, that's not everybody. And if what I'm saying to you is you, it's not a time to be sad or angry. Just analyze yourself. Do you do that? Because one way you show Black people that you're authentic is by crossing over into Samaria, or if they extended an invitation for you to come visit Samaria, come visit their space, to come. And so if you see me saying a certain person is a dear friend, that means that person has demonstrated you are equal to me. I see you as equal. We have visited each other's houses. We've hung out together. We talk on the phone. We interact. We come into each other's space. And a lot of times, I don't even really care how you voted. And so Malcolm X said they're all different feathers on the same bird. Okay, I have seen lots of BLM signs in people's yards that would not even speak to me on the street. So I'm not really concerned about voting because I feel like both parties are jacked up. And I think sometimes white people who may have voted Democrat think just because they're Democrat, that means, look, see, I'm not a racist. But I look at some other things. I look at how you're really building authentic relationship. How you're reaching out to me and how you're responding to me when I reach out to you. Do we cross over to each other's spaces? Do we help one another? Do we support one another? Not just you helping me, but you're inviting me, hey, come join me in this work. Come help me and I'll help you. And there's a reciprocal relationship. So I'm not really concerned about voting because I feel like both parties are jacked up. And I think sometimes white people who may have voted Democrat think just because they're Democrat, that means, look, see, I'm not a racist. But I look at some other things. I look at how you're really building authentic relationship. How you're reaching out to me and how you're responding to me when I reach out to you. Do we cross over to each other's spaces? Do we help one another? Do we support one another? Not just you helping me, but you're inviting me, hey, come join me in this work. Come help me and I'll help you. And there's a reciprocal relationship, not one of, I'm better than you, I'm superior to you, and I only want to come be with you if I can help you. Not the kind of relationship that just says, hey, I'm just going to check in. I'm hoping you're hearing what I'm saying. Racism is a beast. Many people are racist and don't even realize it because they're loving people. They're trying to do the best they can. And that's on all sides. I've seen so many racists on the Democrat side. So this is not a political statement. I find them all just frustrating to me. Malcolm X used to say, sometimes the liberals can be the worst because they really think they're not, but they are. A true test. Jesus was our true example of how to not allow a person's ethnicity, color, cultural background put up a wall of connection. Every time he reached out and touched someone who was different from him, and we see that plenty of times in the Bible, that is a sign of someone truly authentically trying to build relationship. And so in this day and time that we're in, because racism, it still continues to permeate the DNA of our country, we have got to get to a place where we know who we are in Christ. That we're starting our own businesses and supporting others who started businesses. Because that's another issue. Sometimes Black people will start a business and other Black people won't support it. I go through it all the time. So that's one issue. The other issue is I want to encourage you to do a checklist. If you're a white person watching this, and maybe you're under the illusion that I'm not racist because I have Black friends, I have family members in my who have married Black people. I'm serving Black people. I read Black books. That doesn't really make you not racist. That's very performative. What truly makes you not a racist, and that when you are invited to come into their space, you're like, I'll be there. You're important to me. Not I come when I get time, I'm late. Oh, you should just be blessed that I just showed up. Nope. That you see what they're doing, the work they're doing is equally as important. And you invite them into your space. If you're not doing those things and you still function on this color line and this supremacy line, you still got issues. And while you all work on your issues, those of us who are brown, let's not wait for them to work on their issues. That's something they got to work through with the Lord. And it's not even our responsibility to make them or help them work through their issues. That's something they got to work through the Lord. When they stand before the Lord and he analyzes their heart, they got to answer to him. But what we can do while they try to get themselves together, not that we're waiting on, is to strengthen our relationships in the Black community, supporting each other's businesses, loving on one another, showing up for one another. I love the love Joy Reid is getting. And my hope is that somehow a Black billionaire somewhere will say, sis, I got you. Here's a platform for you. Because in 2025, we're still fighting the same old battles, and it's not going to end until they root out racism in their hearts. And it's not our responsibility to help them do that. Our responsibility is, yes, to love unconditionally, but to strengthen our own selves and our communities.